Hey guys, what's up? How's it going today? Today I wanted to talk a little bit about how we utilize breathy vocals and how do we make a breathy vocal sound good and for more emotional, intimate moments, softer parts of your song. It's great to utilize for dynamics if you have like a nice, soft, breathy vocal, and then we build up to a more powerful vocal, something like that. You hear this all the time in pop music. Artists like Billie Eilish, Ed Sheeran, um, you name it. Probably every great pop singer uses breathy vocals at some point in their music. So before we dive in, I want to say if your voice is always breathy and you can't have a not breathy sound to your voice, it's probably a bad sign. It probably means that you need to strengthen your voice to have more chord closure, which I'll talk about in a second. And also, if you use your voice and have more air coming through your vocal tone than actual vocal tone, it can actually damage your voice. A great example of this is early John Mayer. Now, I like some of John Mayer's more later stuff or his middle albums, but to be honest, early John Mayer, I wasn't a huge fan of his voice, and part of this was because of how breathy his voice was. Now, I know this is an opinion, but he was so breathy when he started singing that he actually damaged his voice, not by screaming his head off and using a lot of air pressure, but by having so much air passing through his vocal cords over and over again every time he sang that it starts to dry out your vocal cords and actually damage them. So he actually had to have vocal surgery because of how much breath how much breath or air was coming through his vocal cords and not pure vocal tone. Um, and this does take experimentation with how much air you're letting through your vocal tone, and you really want to be in control of that so you can dial it in or dial it back whenever you want. To get started, let's just talk a little bit about what chord closure means. So when we have chord closure, our vocal cords are coming together and phonating. So if we have a hard onset, if we put an H in front of a vowel, it the the h sound automatically is expelling breath right away, right? So ha 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 ha. Now if we have a hard onset and we want real vocal cord closure right away, ha 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 ha. Whether we're resonating more in our mask, our chest, doesn't matter. I'm just talking about chord closure. Ha 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 ha. Right? So we're having chord closure really quickly, and we're striking our vocal cords with our air from our diaphragm directly, and there's not much air coming through. Ha, 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 right? So if we use this beginning H sound and try to let a little air come through, what I'm doing, if I have total chord closure, ha, 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 I kind of have a more aggressive, instantaneous push on my diaphragm. And if I let up on the pressure you're applying to your diaphragm, ease up on it, and let some breath come through with the starting H sound, and experiment where you're placing the tone more chesty, more nasally. Experiment with it to whatever you like. Right? So that's all still in chest or a light mix there, right? So if you go from a lot of chord closure, and then let air come through, you can start and dial in how much air is coming through and go in between more chord closure and less chord closure. So right. It's kind of nice. I know that's kind of a bit much, but it's kind of nice to trail off if you have a note and let air come through right at the end for a breathy tone right at the end of a phrase. Ha. staying in the same voicing, just letting more air come through, and we're striking less of the vocal cords. A good way to experiment with this, just go up a 3-note scale. Try doing a lot of chord closure, more aggressive pressure with the diaphragm. Ha! Try it with more chesty sound. Ha! Now try mask, just so you're experimenting. Ha! Now try to do both, but less aggressive pressure on the diaphragm, and try to let more air come through the tone and use that H sound. That gives a more kind of operatic sound if you're a little more chesty like this. Right? And then if we lean into the mask a little bit, it sounds a bit more poppy, I guess you could say. Experiment with going up and down with that. This is also good practice with singing lightly in your mix voice. It takes a little more control to do that than just belting it out, and it's good practice. So real quick, I have a little guitar loop I'm gonna play. I'll put some reverb on the vocal because reverb always sounds nice, and especially with breathy vocals. So for example, if I were to sing over this track, I probably would want a more intimate, breathy sound, and you'll see what I mean. So listening to this, you probably wouldn't attack this like this. I'm running through the trees, but you're not next to me. I mean, you could, right? But it's not really fitting, in my opinion. Or if you were to do it nasally, I'm running through the trees, but you're not next to me. I think that would be a little more fitting for pop. But I think it would sound probably better if you did breathy like this. I'm running through the trees, you're not next to me. Oh, don't tell me I'm wrong. Don't tell me I'm wrong. I was just making something up there, but as you can see, you can really experiment with how much air you're letting come through, and how much you want to resonate in your chest, your mask. Usually when we're singing pop, we're lighter and in the mask. Like Billie Eilish sits very light in her mask and has a very breathy tone for her softer parts, like, don't you know I'm no good for you? I've learned to lose, you can't afford to. Something like that, right? Anyway, so experiment with how much pressure you're applying with your diaphragm. Try it with more chord closure and more aggressive support from your diaphragm for more chord closure. Ha, ha, ha. And then experiment with easing up on that diaphragm pressure and letting some more air flow through. Ha. Use that H. Ha. And if you just experiment with this, you should be able to get it. and it's a great tool to have in your pocket as a vocalist. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them below. If you like this, please like and subscribe. It would mean so much to me. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.